Yo, America, planet Earth, what's good? This is your boy Codell, and welcome back to another episode of FGP. That's Father's Gospel Podcast. I'm so glad to be back. Had to unplug for a moment, take a break during the holiday season, but I'm back and I'm happy to be back. Hey, today, you guys, I'm going to be reviewing a video from a YouTuber called Remnant777. So I didn't come across him till I came across this video, but this video is dope. What he does is he breaks down the difference between single moms and single dads and the difference between their success rate with their children as far as raising them. So we're gonna watch, a good portion of the video, probably not the whole entire thing. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you, some of my feedback on, what I think as far as the information that he presents. But I'm also going to present to you a solution, what I believe to be a solution to a lot of these issues that he is talking about. I honestly believe that I have a solution to help solve these issues. And yeah, so I'm excited to share this solution with you guys. So, anyways, let's get into it, you guys. I'm going to share my screen. I'm super excited for this video. But before we do, you guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell and leave comments, lots and lots of comments. So, let's go. Okay. So this is called it's called The Psychology of Single Fathers and Single Mothers. All right.
Single father households. Everybody talks about single mother households, but nobody really talks about single father households. And believe me, it's not what you expect, which is what we will be covering in this video today. I'm going to be covering the statistical differences between single father households and single mother households, and I'm also going to give my opinion on why these differences exist. So we're first going to start off with an article. It's by Alicia Jane. Single father households do vastly better than single mother households. Now, this article gets many things correct, but it also gets many things.
Just want to put this out there. This is a woman who wrote this article, and she's presenting the information that she's found showing that single fathers do better than single mothers. So let's see what she has to show us.
Incorrect, so we're just going to go right through them. Children from single mother households are 5 times more likely to commit suicide, 10 times more likely to abuse chemical substances, 14 times more likely to commit surprise butt sex. Sorry, YouTube doesn't like me to say the R word. 20 times more likely to end up in prison, 32 times more likely to run away from home, and single mother households also account for 70% of all teenage pregnancies. Single mother households also account for 70% of all child murderers.
Dude, that's a crazy stat right there. Single mother households account for 70% of all child murders. So 70% of the kids that are getting murdered are from single mother households. Now, I don't know if that's by the mom themselves or if that's by a boyfriend, that they bring into the house, or a lesbian lover, or, or a combination. It's probably a mix of all of it, but that's freaking crazy. Eh, Anyways, let's keep going.
In the majority of facilicide cases. And
Okay, if anyone knows what basilicide means, I know I've heard it before, but I don't remember. Comment down in the description box. Let me know.
in the article, it also effectively breaks down why economic differences aren't the cause for this. They
Yeah.
take into account poverty and how much they make, and you still end up with this.
Mhm.
Statistically speaking, single father households do not fare worse than two parent households. The only
No, I agree with the poverty thing. One, because, like, honestly, if you're poor, especially like in America, if you're poor, you're not really poor. You're still eating. You most likely still got a roof over your head. But um men, just because for whatever reason, the way God and nature designed us, we are the ones that, you know, design governments, run governments, create institutions, create infrastructure, maintain all these institutions, governments, and infrastructure. and all this stuff, um, it would naturally give us a better ability to deal with more adversity than a woman because we're constantly having to deal with adversity because we are the ones creating the institutions, running the governments, building these, businesses and corporations that create jobs, building the roads, all that stuff. You know what I'm talking about? So, men, historically, we've always dealt with a high level of stress. So, to be honest, like, and I've never really thought of this, like, thought of it in this way until right now. It doesn't surprise me that we would be overall much more successful at being single parents than than women who are single moms, like like, and you could hate that again, like, and that's why I'm laughing because I know, like, a lot of people are gonna hear that, and it's gonna piss them off, but it just is what it is, like, it's the way nature, God designed it, so let's keep going.
Difference is that children are more likely to be promiscuous if there's only a father in the household instead of both a father and a mother. Other than that, single father
Alright, that's interesting, let me go back. So I think he says something about being more promiscuous from single father households.
do not fare worse than two-parent households. The only difference is that children are more likely to be promiscuous.
Okay, let's
If
go back one more.
speaking,
Do you hear that?
single father households do not fare worse than two-parent households. The only difference is that
So, statistically speaking, single father households do not fare worse than two-parent households. And I've already known this, but still, like, that's crazy. Now, I will say this, even if the stats show that, if you can have a two-parent household, that's still the best. Like, it's still the best. Having a good mom, a good father in the house, nothing beats that for the children. It's really that simple. Let's go.
children are more likely to be promiscuous if there's only a father in the household instead of both a father and a mother. Other than that, single father
Okay, so the one stat that it is slightly more negative, that it is more negative for kids outcome wise, is promiscuity. But let's see if that holds up.
households fare just as good as two-parent households, meaning you only get problems with children when there's a father missing. But again, there are a couple of things that this article got wrong. First off, I want to cover this one point, which is very important. I actually made a video a long time ago, and I said this exact same thing. They are more likely to commit surprise butt sex, as it's called. The problem is, I'm sure it's actually the case, but I don't know if it's that high. I kind of doubt it because it's worded in a weird way. If you actually look at the stat they're talking about, they say 80% of surprise butt sexers with anger problems come from fatherless homes and are 14 times the average. With anger problems, what exactly does that mean? Like, why can't we just talk about people who actually
Yeah, that is kind of weird. Like, I mean, I don't know, like, why slip in the word anger? I don't. If someone's just raping, I know I shouldn't have said that word. If someone's just graping, then like they're doing something bad. Like, regardless of whether they're doing it out of anger or joy, they're not a good person. Anyways,
do it? Why specifically anger problems? That really rubs me the wrong way. And I can't find any statistical data without the anger issues when it comes to single mother households. It's always with anger problems. What about the people who commit surprise butt sex who aren't really angry? They just do it because they're horrible people.
right.
That's something that's really annoyed me. And it's important to keep that in mind. They probably still have higher percentages, but it's most likely overinflated because of the with anger problems. It also says that the best parents doesn't always get custody, especially if he is male. So it's talking about how judges will award custody to women more than men. The problem is, the majority of cases, men don't fight for custody. Men choose not to be in the lives of their children a lot of the times.
Okay. Okay. And this breaks my fucking heart to say this. Excuse my language. but this breaks my heart to say this. I have to agree with him on this, okay? To a certain extent. To a certain extent, because he said men don't fight for custody. Now, men do fight for custody, but I think men also, too many of us go about fighting for custody in the completely wrong way. And then what happens is we emotionally, spiritually, and financially wear ourselves down to the point where we give up and we allow ourselves to become a victim of the system. But where I disagree with him is where he says, let me rewind it just a little bit.
Choose not to be in the lives of their children a lot of the times.
Yeah, is where he says dads choose not to be in the lives of their children a lot of the times. Now, the reason I disagree with him on this is because, one, I've been in a custody case for the last 7 years, first 7 years of my son's life, and we're about to go on 8 years, and it's been absolutely hell and completely unnecessary. But two, beyond that, because that's just, my own personal experience. I know so many like I can't even count on two hands. Like if I had all like my good friends, if we're here in a room together and we put all our hands together, I still couldn't count on all those hands how many dads I know or all of us know that are that are just being absolutely railroaded and destroyed by the family courts. And it's not just us, like our children are being destroyed. And I do know some moms too, but the vast majority of parents I know that are being kept away from their children, even though there's no evidence of child abuse or anything like that, is dads. And it is for many factors, because the courts can collect child support, which gives them federal funding through Title 4D, so on and so on. But that's not what this is about. So I disagree with him when he says that dads choose not to be in their children's lives. But I will say this, dads, we have to approach the way we go about pursuing custody of our children differently and the way we go about pursuing justice. We have to approach that differently. And that's why I'm here today. I have solutions for us. So stick with me. We're almost done with this
And
video.
when men fight to have custody, when men try to be in the lives of their kids, they often are successful. It's something that's common.
Wait, okay, I'm sorry to talk in, but I want to highlight that, you guys, because this is important. This kind of goes back to like we have to change our
When
strategy.
men try to be in the lives
See, look, when we try to be in the lives of our children, we tend to win custody about 60% of the time. But here's the key. See, the good news for men, it says, who want to challenge the status quo is that fathers tend to win about 60% of child custody disputes that go to trial. So going to trial is the key, gentlemen. By taking it to trial, it forces the courts to address the evidence. It forces the other side to show the courts that their accusations are actually factual. So, anyways, yeah, going to trial is key, gentlemen. Get your case to trial. Let's keep going.
of their kids, they often are successful. It's something that's commonly repeated in the red pill spaces, but it's just blatantly false when you look at the data. And I think it's a good thing. Fights to be in their lives as much as you can. But now that we covered the stats, why is this the case? Now, I think it has to do with two fundamental differences. One, mothers cannot physically overpower their children. If a 16-year-old boy wants to do something, he's going to do it, and his mom isn't going to stop him.
Okay, so now we're getting into why single dads, well, his belief on why single dads are more successful than single moms. Let's see if I agree, and let's see if y'all agree.
Can physically overpower her. The person who does and can stop him, though, is the father. When the father says something, you take it very seriously. And for most kids, when a mom says no, well, it's more of a suggestion than anything. And this isn't to be disrespectful or rude to mothers out there. I'm just saying what it is from a teenager's perspective. You need that physical, strong, dominant presence to tell the kid.
Yeah, no, I agree. Growing up, because like I was raised in a single mother household, I 100% was always craving a strong male father figure, in my life. Um, and those few moments growing up where I would get to experience that, I would always just gravitate right towards, I would gravitate towards it and try to, hold on to it, so yeah, yeah, absolutely true. And I would always listen more, it would make me, having a strong male figure, eh, those few moments that I got to experience that growing up, it would just, it would allow me, it would just help me stay more focused and balanced. But anyways, let's go.
No, and to also inspire him on what he can be or should be. He acts as an example, an ideal role model for them that the mother simply cannot do. I mean, the mother's
See, and for me, that's huge because, like, right now, is I'm going through my own custody case. I'm just, what I'm doing is building behind the scenes, doing everything I can, just putting things together for my son. So I do, when that day of victory does finally come for me and my boy, and we are reunited, he has a good environment to come into. Like, I built a good environment for him, and then also I'm prepared to help guide him and teach him the lessons that he's going to need to, hopefully be the best version of himself that he can possibly be, to be the man that God wants him to be, and so that's why it's so important for a child to have a father in their life. A woman just cannot provide that. And you can, like, please let me know if you agree or disagree, but if you disagree, I think you're completely wrong. But anyways, let's go.
also a role model, but she cannot fill that strong, dominant role model. It
Right.
just doesn't happen.
No.
Which leads into our second part, women being forced into the leadership role. Sometimes they can be a good leader. I know of some people who say that their mothers are much more of the stable role, are stronger in terms of temperament, while the father is much more loving and empathetic. I think that can happen, but I think that's inherently due to their nature. If a woman is born more masculine, she'll naturally fit into that position much better than women who don't have that. Women who aren't born that way and trained to be that way, it ends up becoming a mess, a horrible mess.
See, you notice how I said, like, yeah, some women, and it's like a very few. I mean, it's such a small, I think it's like 1%, maybe even smaller, of women that can be leaders because they're actually born that way. But the issue is since for the last like 60 plus years, we've been telling women that they need to be these girl boss babes. And I don't mean like everyday men are telling women this, but our government, our media, has been telling American women and just women around the world in general that they need to be these boss babes, that they need to be independent, that family's not important, that they need to chase the bag, start build an empire, basically be like a man. And women have never done that since the beginning of time. Like, that has not been the role of women. And that's not a bad thing. That's the way God designed it. So let's keep going.
Especially if they're not trained to or they just don't know how to. Quickie interruption. If you're enjoying this video, please do subscribe. I put so much time and effort into these videos.
Yeah, definitely give Remnant a subscribe, man, and like the yeah, and subscribe to my channel, give my channel a like as well. So, but let's keep going. This is a dope video. I like it.
It would mean so much. And what you have in this instance with single mothers is they're forced into that leadership role. They're forced not only to be the nurturer, supply them with emotional stability, but also the breadwinner. And that can be very stressful. Women do not handle stress as well as men do. Their
Okay.
sensitivity to negative
Okay. So let's see what this says. This is about neuroticism and who it affects more, men versus women. So, neuroticism describes the tendency to experience negative emotion and related processes in response to perceived threat and punishment that include anxiety, depression, anger, self consciousness, and emotional liability. Women have been found to score higher than men on neuroticism as measured at the big five trait level as well as on most facets of neuroticism. Included in a common measure of the big five, the NEO Pi R back in 2001. Additionally, women also score higher than men on related measures not designed specifically to measure the big five, such as indices. I don't know if I'm saying that word right, of anxiety, Feingold 1994, and low self esteem, Kling 1999. The one facet of neuroticism in which women do not always exhibit higher scores than men is anger or anger hostility. 2001. Now, I can agree to a certain extent with the anger theme, but but that's not even necessarily true. And even this kind of admits to that because it says the one facet of neuroticism in which women do not always, and that's the key word right there, always exhibit higher scores than men in anger or anger hostility. And the reason it's not always because men and women, we tend to exhibit our anger in completely different ways, because men, obviously we're physically stronger, we built the world, all this stuff. Our anger tends to be violent, when we don't have control of it, it tends to be physically very destructive, women, when their anger gets out of control, it can obviously lead to, physical destruction, but it's much more of a manipulation, there's much more manipulation tactics involved, it's much more there's a lot more mind games going on. So it's yeah, yeah. So, always is the key. So yeah, I agree with that. That's debatable.
emotion is higher than men, especially in certain domains. It's not all the exact same. Men can also struggle to regulate certain emotions, especially anger.
Right.
But generally, women struggle more with emotional stability. It's not the most uncommon story to hear that a child has to comfort and make their mother feel good, which is backwards. What does that do to a kid, you think? And you could argue with me and say, I'm just creating.
That's a tough one right there because, I don't want to, like, I'm not trying to hate with what I'm about to say, but, growing up, I was raised by a single mom. I love her to death. She's my mom. But growing up, I dealt with that exact same situation he's talking about more times than I can count. I remember there's so many memories I have of my mom just mentally breaking down, curling up into a ball, holding herself on the ground, crying out about how we all hate her, no one loves her, she's the worst mom ever, all this stuff. And it was crazy. And then by no means was I a perfect kid, but it was chaos growing up. And yeah, this is why yeah, so I don't know, I can relate to that very, very much. If you know, if you were raised by a single mom, comment if you feel comfortable. Tell let us know some of your experiences growing up in the comment section. I'd love to hear them.
Faceless gender stereotypes. There's no difference between men or women in this domain, and it could be that I'm wrong here. But look at the data. Clearly, there is a
Okay,
big
let's look at this data. So let's see. Nation for fathering. 83% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. U.S. Department of Health and Census. 90% of homeless and runaway children, fatherless homes. 85% of children show behavior disorders, fatherless homes, So yeah, it's bad, dude. All this fatherless homes, like, and let's not even call it fatherless homes. It's single mom homes because again, like most of these homes where the fathers are not there, it's because the moms have chosen to be single moms.
Difference between
Not all,
single
but
fathers
most.
and single mothers here that causes way different outcomes with these children. And it's not money. Money alone does not cause this. And in my opinion, also, generally, women don't have that personality or those characteristics that make a good leader. And on top of that, they're not trained for it as much because they weren't planning to be.
No, and women, it's just true. I don't like. I really don't care if you want to hear this or not. 99.9% of you are not designed to lead. You are designed to be led. Men, we are designed to lead. And most of us aren't even designed to be like these big, giant leaders, that lead nations or lead, institutions, corporations, or whatever. Most men are not even cut for that. Most men, they might be good, like, family leaders or local leaders. So there's different levels of leadership, but men in general, we are designed to lead. That's just the way God designed it. I'm going to keep saying that. That's the way God designed it. That's the way nature designed it. God designed nature. God said, yo, I want men to lead. That's how it is. You don't like it, take it up with God, okay? Let's keep going. We're almost done though.
Leaders. Do you think that they preemptively decided, hey, I'm going to be a single mother? Again, I'm not trying to shit on single mothers here. They really do try their best, but they're not prepared to be the only parents.
Well, no, I disagree with him. I do think the vast majority of single moms choose to be single moms. And the reason is because our current system incentivizes single motherhood through child support, Title 4D, which is the child support mechanism. Look, the state collects child support. If they get that child support, the federal government gives them money for getting child support. So they're getting money from the dads and they're getting money from the federal government. And if they're getting money from the federal government, that doesn't mean they're getting money from the government. That means they're taking money from the taxpayer. So yeah, it's everyone's paying for single motherhood. Our system is currently set up to incentivize single motherhood. And then you add on top of that the messaging for the last 60, 70 years that we fed to women through the media, the happy wife, the happy life, the girl boss babe bullshit, all of it. It's crazy. Like we have bred these narcissistic, dysfunctional, soulless Jezebel women. And men, it is just as much our fault for the current state of our families because we're the ones that let it get to this point. We are the leaders. We allowed women to push our society to these extremes, and we allowed other men to manipulate us and manipulate our women because there is men out there, very powerful men that know what they're doing, that know how to, message things, know how to use the media in certain ways to nudge the population in certain directions. So we got to deal with those men. Those are the biggest simps of all. They may be powerful, but they're super simps. Anyways, let's go.
In the family. They weren't raised to be leaders and they probably weren't born with those characteristics that make naturally good leaders. And I'm not even saying that men are all naturally born to be great leaders or something
No.
like that. Obviously, that's not the case.
No, yeah,
there are always
most no.
instances in our society where we do fall.
All right, all right, all right. So I'm gonna stop it here for this video. Let's get into the solution, you guys. So, how can we start resolving these issues? Well, we got to start getting our institutions cleaned up, right? We've got to stop incentivizing broken homes. We've got to stop incentivizing single motherhood. We've got to stop incentivizing fatherless homes. Now, here is one of those solutions. So check this out, right? Let me go to it. I'm going to share another screen. Hold up. Okay. So this is the new start to equality. This is a bill, all right? So this bill right here, I've got it laid out for Washington. That's my state. I'm currently working on pushing this bill and two other bills here in Washington state to address all the issues going on in our family courts and divorce courts. So if we get bills like this bill right here, if we start passing bills like this in all 50 states, what's going to happen is it's going to start de-incentivizing our system. It's going to start de-incentivizing women. Like, it's going to take away those mechanisms. It's going to take away those incentives for women to use the system against fathers. So how? Okay, so this is a new start to equality. All right. And this is by a gentleman, Robert Garza. Okay. You can find these bills at robertgarza.us, but let's go over the bill and then I'll tell you where you can get them at. Okay. So this is what the bill does concerning a rebuttal presumption of equal shared parenting time in family law cases. Section 1, short title. This act shall be known and may be cited as the Washington Equal Shared Parenting Act. Section 2, legislative findings. The legislature finds that 1, the public policy of the state of Washington is to promote the best interests of the child by encouraging frequent, continuing, and meaningful contact with both parents after divorce or separation. 2, children benefit emotionally, academically, and socially when both parents are consistently involved in their children's lives. 3, equal parenting time reduces conflict, enhances stability, and protects the fundamental rights of both parents and children. 4, establishing a rebuttal presumption of equal shared parenting fosters predictability, reduces litigation, and protects children from unnecessary legal conflict. Those are all great things. Now, here's section 3. Now, again, this is for here in Washington, right? So this RCW, this applies for here in Washington. Rebuttal presumption, equal parenting time. 1, rebuttal presumption. This is what it does. In any proceeding under this chapter involving a parenting plan or residential schedule, the court shall begin with a rebuttal presumption that equal parenting time is in the best interest of the child if A, both parents are found to be fit, willing, and able to parent, and B, both parents reside within 25 miles of the child's primary school or educational institution. Okay. Now, 2, rebuttal presumption. This presumption may be rebutted only by clear and convincing evidence in writing by the judge or commissioner that equal parenting time would not be in the best interest of the child, including but not limited to A, a history of domestic violence or abuse, B, a documented substance abuse or mental illness significantly impairing parenting ability, getting ahead of myself on the words. C, a pattern of alienation or refusal to co-parent. D, excessive logistical barriers due to geography or scheduling conflicts. So this is great. This puts all these barriers in front of the judge or commissioner. So they would have to present all this evidence of why they'd have to be like, look, this is why I'm interfering with equal parenting time for all this. So they'd have to have some real clear cut evidence for telling you, for taking away your 50-50 custody of your child. Beautiful, right? Now, 3, definition. Equal parenting time means, excuse me, a substantially equal allocation of overnights on an annual basis with reasonable flexibility for school, holidays, and employment considerations. No parent shall receive less than 45% of annual overnights under an equal parenting plan. So that's the definition. 4, here's the application. This section applies to initial parenting plans, temporary orders, and modification proceedings under this chapter unless otherwise required by law. Section 4, effective date. Hasn't happened yet. Working on it for 2027. Making some progress. Bet on that. Already been talking to legislatures, and they're loving it. So, you guys, I've got this here in Washington, right? But this bill itself is prepped for all 50 states. All you've got to do is go to the following website. Now, I'm about to share the website with you. It's called robertgarza.us. Punch that in, right? Then you go over here, click on state bills. All right. View all the bills because he's got 10 bills so far to fix family court. Okay. New start to equality. That's the one. Time taken, time back. Three strikes law. Cameras in the courtroom. Bunch of good ones. Not going to show you all. But whatever state you're in, all you got to do is then. So click on whatever bill you want. I want new start to equality. So you just go here. Boom. All the states are listed. And then you click on your state. So if you're in Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, wherever, California, wherever, click on your state now and pulls it up. Now let's see. I don't think it's written for all 50 states yet, but it's in the process. Let's see if it's in Georgia. Yep, it's ready for Georgia. So if you're in Georgia, it's ready to go. I know this bill's ready for most states. But in Georgia, they need advocates. So yeah, you guys go to robertgarza.us. If we get bills like this passed in all 50 states, let me go back because I'm here to provide solutions, right? Why am I presenting this bill? Well, if we start passing bills like this in all 50 states, that is going to take away the financial incentives for single motherhood. It's going to put proper barriers and laws in the courts to stop them from keeping good fathers out of their children's lives and just good parents in general. Because, yes, this is being done to moms as well at a much smaller rate. And I'm not saying that to be an asshole. I'm just being honest because that's just who I am. 90% of custody cases, moms are awarded sole full custody. But we get bills like this passed, this will start naturally taking care of those problems. This will start naturally helping heal our families. Because we as humans, here's the thing, we are extremely flawed. If we designed a system, doesn't matter what that system is, if we design a system to incentivize bad behavior, hold up, let me get out of this screen. We are going to breed bad behavior. It's that simple. It doesn't matter if it's single motherhood. It doesn't matter if it's serial killers, whatever. If we set up a system that incentivizes a bad behavior, it is going to breed and create more of that bad behavior. And then what that does is that has a ripple effect. And it starts slowly, but it slowly starts destabilizing society. And it breaks it down over many decades. And that's where we're at now. So that's what I got for you guys today. Let me know. Do you think I provided a good solution? I hope you guys like this. And I really, 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 really want you to go to robertgarza.us, get these bills downloaded for yourself, and start passing these bills in your state, especially if you're a parent who's going through this. If you haven't seen your children for no good reason, all because the courts say you can't see your kid because the other parent says you're a bad parent, even though they've shown no evidence to prove that you are, then you need to become an advocate. So go to robertgarza.us. Download these bills, find out who your representative is, reach out to your representative, get a meeting set up, contact me. You can find my email. I'll get Robert Garza, to join you for the meeting with your state representative because he's the mastermind behind these bills, and we'll help you get these bills over the finish line in your state. Why? Because one, I want to see this issue resolved. And two, this issue is so much bigger, you guys, than any of our individual situations. This is about breaking this generational curse. This is about making sure we do not pass This same system that has destroyed millions of our families onto the next generation of our fathers and our mothers and their children. We don't want our children to grow up into adulthood having their children taken from them, all because the system is incentivized to do so because it's making money. So please help me pass these laws in all 50 states. I'm Codell. Thank you for listening to the Father's Gospel podcast. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell. I absolutely love you motherfuckers. Excuse my language. I got excited right there. And more importantly, God loves you. And remember, go to robertgarza.us and download these bills. And until next episode, I'm out. Peace.